GoFundMe page has been set up to help his parents bring their boy home. A plot to spy on a dual Iranian-Australian citizen has been stopped by ASIO. Iran conducted surveillance in the person's home and compiled extensive research. Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neill says countries that attempt to interfere in Australia's affairs are on notice.
To those states who operate in the shadows, we have a very simple message. We are watching you. Where our national interest is served by calling out your involvement in these operations, we will absolutely do it. And to those Australians who are making their voice heard, we are acting to try to protect you.
At least one person has been killed in a shooting at Michigan State University in the US. Local police say there have been multiple injuries, and at this stage the shooter is still on the run. Students on campus have been posting on social media that they're in hiding. Now turning to FIVEAA sport, and Peter Bol has expressed relief after his provisional suspension for doping was lifted. The Australian runner's B sample didn't confirm the A sample, which was positive for EPO. His coach Justin Rinaldi says it's been a tough few weeks as they anxiously awaited the findings.
I think it would have broken a lot of people, but he was positive and confident that he's done nothing wrong, and at the end of the day that would come out. But obviously he's had some trying times, like he's found it hard to even go for a jog every day because he goes out and people recognise Peter, and when they see him they make comments, and that's hard to live with.
Sport Integrity Australia maintains it's still investigating whether Bol has violated any anti-doping rules. Hawthorn forward Mitch Lewis is expected to miss at least the first month of the AFL season as he continues to recover from a knee injury, and Kansas City officials expect at least 500,000 people will attend the street parade to honour Super Bowl winners, the Chiefs. Now checking FIVEAA traffic.
Good afternoon. Got a breakdown at Crafers West on the freeway down track near the Measdays Bridge. Roads are closed in the city due to a crane. That's on King William Street between North Terrace and Curry Street. Expect some delays through the peak. Quite busy at the moment. Old Port Road between Frederick Road and Grand Junction Road in both directions, and check your speed, Osmond Terrace, Norwood. Bearbank Homes invites you to view their brand new display homes at Riverlea Park. With two very different designs on offer, there's sure to be one to suit you. Search Bearbank Homes for more. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
Now the FIVEAA forecast: sunny this afternoon, 29, sunny and 35 tomorrow, Thursday mostly sunny, 38, and Friday a top of 30. Right now it's 25 degrees. Now let's hear what's happening on 9 News Tonight.
The Adelaide street trashed by teens left to roam, residents fed up. How to have your say on the Crow's new headquarters. A shock development for an elderly Hills woman fighting an insurance giant. The artificial intelligence helping school students cheat the system. Plus holiday hacks to slash fees and score the best deals. I'm Kate Collins. See the full story on 9 News Tonight at 6.
Jade Robran, talking Adelaide on 1395 FIVEAA.
Riding along in my automobile, my baby beside me at the wheel. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild.
Welcome to the car show. If you want to join in, 8223 0000. Scott Colley, editor of carexpert.com.au, joins us. Good afternoon, Scott.
Good afternoon, Jade. How are you going?
I am excellent, thank you. Not so excellent is Kia Rio. What's the deal?
It's going gone, unfortunately, from Australia.
Being axed?
It has been, or it will be very soon. So this is a car that's been around for around 20 years in Australia, and it's one of those cars that everyone kind of has a story about because it was a great, very popular first car for a long time, and it was one of Kia's best sellers. But what we're finding is people are more and more looking at SUVs in the sort of area that maybe they would have looked at the Rio previously, and that means that car makers are moving away from those cars and making them much more expensive. We learned last week that the Rio won't be produced for the UK, which is one of very few right-hand drive markets like Australia, and as a result, Australia won't be getting the next generation Rio either. There's not going to be a replacement for it. So based on what we know at the moment, it's likely you'll be able to get one through this year, but from there, it's gone.
Oh, wow, okay. Let's talk to Adam in Erindale. He's called in to ask you a question. Hi, Adam.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Really good, thank you.
Good, good. I have to say this is my favourite segment of the entire week, and I'm really happy to be on it. Just there's two cars I'd just like to ask about. The first one is the Cupra, the Formentor. I'm looking at the fastest of the three models. It's the 228 kilowatt. Just wouldn't mind, please, your comments on the Cupra Formentor, and also price-wise, they're about 67. I understand that they're made in Spain. It's basically a VW, I believe. Could you give me a bit of information, what you think in value and things?
I'm glad to hear this is your favourite segment, Adam. That's really nice to hear. The Formentor, I really quite like, and I have recently sort of pushed my dad in the direction of buying one. He's just taken delivery of a VZX, which is the one you're looking at. In terms of what you get, it's actually essentially a Golf R underneath. So it's got the same 2-litre engine, the same 4-wheel drive system, but obviously a slightly different body. So in terms of the mechanicals, there's already plenty of experience we've had with it. I personally think the price relative to a Volkswagen Tiguan R or a Golf R, or even looking at some of the faster Skoda stuff, is pretty reasonable. And although the brand is young, because it's backed by the Volkswagen Group, it's not as likely to disappear tomorrow with a snap of the fingers. And if for whatever reason down the track it does, there's still going to be people who can support the cars, because obviously those parts are so widely used in Australia. So if you are looking for something a little bit different, I think it's a really good place to be looking.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And the other vehicle I'm looking at, which is a little bit different, is the Ford Mustang, the 5-litre. What the 2023 model, I believe it's going to be on the showrooms in the States in about May, June, here in about sort of October, November. Look, there's no real information. I can't establish how many kilowatts it's going to be. I've heard it's not going to be as quick as the current one, simply because of the all the emissions stuff now that they have to put on it. It's going to sort of pull it back a little bit. Do you know anything about the 2023 Mustang, please, in regards to potential price and performance?
So on the price front, we don't have any answers, unfortunately. This new Mustang is essentially an evolution of the last one. It's built on very similar bones, so it is likely to be more expensive because cars are just getting more expensive year on year, but I'd be surprised if it jumped drastically over the outgoing one. In terms of power, the old Mustang GT had 339 kilowatts and 556 newton meters. In the US, the new model has 356 and 563, so sort of a little bump on both of them. And then there's an optional exhaust that gives you a little bit more grunt again. And then the Dark Horse, which is the top of the range, has 373 kilowatts. So it's going to be a little bit more powerful in the States. It's likely to be the same in Australia.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Adam, very much. Now we've got Mike in Parafield Gardens. Hello, Mike.
Afternoon, guys.
Hello, fire away.
Just inquiring, got a 48-year-old Monaro, and it's just what's availability on motor parts and panels and everything else, because she's up around 100,000 now.
Yeah.
And if something happens, what's the availability of getting repairs and stuff done?
Yeah, wow. 48 years old is a very good innings. You're doing well to be keeping it alive. It's a proper Aussie classic, that one.
Yeah, it's a one owner.
That's fantastic. Look, in terms of parts and panel availability, there are plenty of Holden specialists around, and especially the older V8 Holdens and, the real Australian-made sort of classic stuff. There are plenty of people out there, and there's a passionate community who I have no doubt will be able to help you sourcing parts. How long that'll take, I don't know. And it just depends on what it is you need. I mean, in some cases, there might be an older Holden with a similar part number, but, maybe it wasn't a Monaro, but can be subbed in if something does go wrong. In others, maybe you'll need to wait a little bit longer to find a specific part. But given how many V8 Holdens have been sold over the years and how many V8 GM cars were sold overseas over the years, provided you know what it is you're looking for and maybe you're willing to wait, I have no doubt that down the track you should hopefully be able to find parts for it.
Thank you very much for that information.
Hey, Mike, before we let you go, this sounds absolutely stunning. Can you tell us a bit about the car?
She's mandarin red.
Wow. Nice.
She's got honeycomb mags on it. She's 4-speed. And she goes like the clappers.
Where do you take her driving?
I used to, over the years, from work and fishing and everything else, it was a driver. That's the reason I bought the car. Wasn't meant to be put in a shed or anything like that. She's done 400,000 and the motor's still going.
Wow. Are you part of a club?
No, I've never gone into that sort of thing. I just, it's mine and I just drive it on my own sort of thing.
Oh, I bet you get so much enjoyment out of it.
I've got a fridge full of tickets. Do you want to sell it? Do you want to sell it? Crash repairs, spray painters, business people, they all want to buy it.
Yeah, and are you at the point now where you think, oh, do I keep it or do I sell it because of the parts? It could be hard to get. Are you sort of flip-flopping at the moment?
Well, the reasons people put stickers on there, they had one when they were younger and they sold it and they regret it. Now their sons and daughters want it and they want to buy it.
Yep.
But this one's going to the granddaughter.
Oh, does she love it? She's into cars as well?
First granddaughter, so she's got her own business. She'll spend money on it and everything else.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But no, it's so far I've been lucky. Nobody's flogged it.
Yeah, well, it sounds pretty unique. So if anyone was to flog it and see it on the road, they'd know who to return it to.
A lot of people know my car, Jade, and if they see somebody else besides myself sitting in there, they'll just give me a phone number, follow the car, and I'll just follow the phone number to where they live.
Good,
and then I'll have a word to them.
Yeah, I bet. Mike, thanks so much.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
Bye. My husband had a Monaro Scott and he sold it. It was a nice classic and he's in that same boat. He'd love to get his hands on a nice old classic.
It is amazing how things like that come around, and there's so many people who look at the values of them now but also just miss what old Australian cars made them feel, and unfortunately they're getting more expensive and they're getting harder to find. So yeah, I feel sorry for your husband that he hasn't been able to track another one down.
It's one of those things though, isn't it, that, you know, you move with the times and we talk about EVs and hybrids and everything's electric, but there's something really cool and rustic about the old school cars and just having to do everything yourself, and they're beautiful. It's historic. It's the good old days.
Absolutely it is. And I think also they make not just the driver smile, but kind of everyone, whether you love cars or not. Seeing someone who's passionate about their old car and just seeing the character and hearing the noise and sort of the smells and that sort of thing, it brings something out in people, even if they're not big car enthusiasts.
Oh, yeah. We've got an old classic Jag in the family, and the kids love it when they're driven to school in it sometimes. And God knows how much it'd be worth, bugger all, but they'd prefer that car than they do our everyday car, because it's just, I don't know, it's something, it smells different. It's classic. It's old school. So fun.
I can imagine that Jag would stand out on the school run as well. There wouldn't be many of those dropping kids off in the car park.
It's a special treat when we get to borrow it sometimes, that's for sure. Scott, we're going to take a super short break, but if you'd like to join the car show and ask Scott from carexpert.com.au a question about your car, maybe you're buying, selling, or you'd like to join the conversation about classics. Love talking classics. 8223 0000.
Juicy 100% Aussie chicken in a fiery, crispy, chili-loaded coating, but with creamy mayo, fresh tomato and cheese. Macca's McSpicy Deluxe. Looks like hot just got fancy. Available after 10:30 a.m. for a limited time.
Bigger, better, leany, meeny, money, mo, and flour. You're the chosen one. Now your left free and your right grip.
Introducing the striking Kia range. Crafted with sleek and distinctive cues. The new Kia range is the cornerstone of progressive technology, blistering performance and quality design. This is Kia.
Kia, movement that inspires.
If it pops, or if it twists, you'll find it at FIVEAA. If it comes in a can, or is best in a glass, you'll find it at FIVEAA. If you serve it on the rocks, or with a paper umbrella. In fact, whether it's wine, beer or spirits, whatever you fancy, you'll find it at FIVEAA. FIVEAA, your local independent SA family liquor stores.
How far would you go for your dream kitchen? And how far would you go to get 25% off? How about 15 minutes up the freeway to Balhanna Kitchens by Design? 2, the largest showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Custom build your dream with our award-winning designers and get 25% off your cabinets with laminate benchtops. For a limited time, of course. Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream a reality. balhannakitchens.com.au.
Hi, I'm Anne. I work with St. Louis Home Care and I'm an enrolled nurse. I work as a client engagement coordinator.
St. Louis was started by my great-grandmother and now is one big happy family with lovely staff just like Anne.
The people that work for St. Louis are very loving and caring.
Whether it's gardening, meals, shopping, home maintenance or social activities, we help people stay at home for longer.
If you're interested, come and join us.
Google St. Louis Home Care today.
Shane here from Adelaide Exposed Concrete. Our first radio ad campaign, straight off the bat, I think the team here killed it with a great commercial and we got recognised straight away, which lifted our branding. My advice to people is to do it. It does work. It just takes a little bit of time and you've got to be willing to understand that not everything happens straight away. But once it starts to work, it's a fantastic experience. To hear people say, I heard your ad on the radio. I heard you on the radio today. Oh, your ad's so funny. Oh, you guys are terrific. You know, all these great comments that our company gets is really based off the ads that we've put out in FIVEAA over the last 6 to 12 months.
To get your message out there and grow your business, visit fiveaa.com.au and hit the Advertise With Us link.
$13.95, Adelaide's FIVEAA. This is Jade Robran.
Welcome back to the Car Show. It is 21 minutes past 3 o'clock if you'd like to talk cars with Scott Colley, our car expert from carexpert.com.au. Give us a buzz, 8223 0000. Got a couple of text messages coming through as well. But let's head to Ranella where we have Adrian on the line. Hello, Adrian. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Scott. I had a question for you about the ordering of a car and obviously the supply issues that have been in place over the last year or so. The Toyota RAV4, which I'm aware is a very sought after and long wait for a car. But what recommendations do you have from a dealer who I suspect is basically just putting off the order based upon it being negotiated at a very good price and potentially supplying other people that might not have been in the queue behind but might have not negotiated as good a price?
It's a tricky situation you're in there, Adrian, and it's one that we're hearing about a little bit from people waiting for RAV4s because obviously competition is so strong. The first thing that I would recommend doing is talking to your dealer and just requesting an update as to where the car is in the queue, essentially. And I'm sure you've already done that, but if you can get in writing from the dealer that this is the intended build date, this is when it's meant to be coming, you've got something on your side for if it is pushed back, you've actually got, something that's being pushed back against and you can chase it up more easily. The other thing is if you do feel like the dealer is maybe taking you for a ride or isn't respecting the order in which people put their money down, it might be worth getting in touch with Toyota Australia directly. These dealers are all individual franchisees, but Toyota Australia obviously is the one who supplies them with cars through the auctions and gives them build plots and that sort of thing. So all of the big brands will have some sort of customer contact line, and Toyota Australia is no different. And if you do feel like the dealer's not getting what you need, it might be worth reaching out to that.
Yeah, have been several times been given build dates and each time been delayed and then put onto a customer relations person to handle that in place of the dealer. So still seems to be every time the proposed or possible build date gets around, the next build date is X in the future. So, it is a tricky one. Thanks for the tip. You've got no way of knowing if you're progressing in the queue or not.
Why don't you get a friend to ring up and say, hey, I'm after a RAV4 and see what they tell the friend and see what conversation comes out of it. Maybe money talks and then you can bust them and say, hey, I've got you here.
They're very cagey. They know the weights. The weights now they're quoting 18 months, which is accurate. But this was ordered December 21, quoted a 5 to 9 month wait, and the earliest I'm looking at would be May, June at the moment. So that'll get out to probably 19 or 20 months there. So, that's the frustration.
How did you have to put down a significant deposit?
Oh, just a $1,000 deposit. They're more than happy to refund it to you, but that doesn't solve the problem, I'm sure. They're happy to refund it to you so they can sell it at a higher price than what I might have negotiated it for.
Sure. And is that what they're trying to lean towards?
I got no way of knowing. I just suspect that it's taking a lot longer, and you don't know if you're progressing in the queue or not. You just got to take their word for it.
Oh, good luck with that one. That's a tricky one. I know somebody that was one of our mates that was in line for one of those RAV4s. They've ended up buying a ute or something because they got sick of waiting. So the wait is real, though, isn't it, Scott?
It is, and it's something that Toyota keeps talking about trying to fix, but ultimately people keep putting their names down and you can only produce so many cars every month. So I think part of the solution is going to be this year Toyota has committed to building more cars. Now its factories are up and running at full speed and COVID is less of an issue, but I think also there's a range of hybrid options coming from the likes of Kia, from GWM, and there's also better supply of cars from other brands now. I think people are going to start jumping off those wait lists and onto other manufacturers that can get them a car sooner, and that's going to help build down the backlog as well.
Got a message here. I'm looking at the new Subaru Outback. What are your thoughts on it?
We really like the Outback here at Car Expert, and we like it even more now that you can get a 2.4-litre turbocharged engine. One of the only real issues with it was that it's big, it's comfortable, it's very good at cruising on the highway, but it's always been a little bit gutless. But as of genuinely today, we have a review of it that's just gone live. You can get yourself an Outback with a more powerful engine that if you've got the family and the kids on board and a whole lot of bags in the back or you're towing, doesn't feel like you're working it nearly as hard. So I'd absolutely be looking at an Outback. And if you do feel like you want to load it up or maybe you just like having a bit more grunt, ask about the turbocharged model because it shapes a pretty good thing.
And how much do they go for?
So the Outback range starts in the $40,000 sort of range, and then it's about a couple of grand more for the turbocharged model. The range topper is called the Touring XT. That's $55,990, which is sitting above a Sport XT, which is $52,190, and then the less powerful range starts at $43,000 and goes up from there.
You've written a story on carexpert.com on EV chargers. How many public EV chargers are there in Australia?
Yeah, this is a question we get asked quite a lot, and it's one of I know we were talking about classic V8s and how much we love them before, but it's one of the questions that a lot of new car buyers are now wondering about because they are looking to go electric. As it turns out, there are almost 2,400 locations where you can publicly charge in Australia, but of that 2,400, fewer than 100 actually have the fastest, most convenient charging technology. So the majority of them are just under 2,000, are 24 kilowatt or less, which if you've got a new Tesla will take about 3 hours to charge from empty to full, whereas a 100 kilowatt charger or faster, which will at the very bottom end charge a Tesla in under an hour, and if it's the absolute fastest one, will charge it in about half an hour or 45 minutes. There's only 99 of.
Okay, a question that's come through now from Peter. He wants to know what your thoughts are on the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport.
Pajero Sport is a really solid off-roader. Mitsubishi does some stuff that other car makers still don't. You can have the top-end model in four-wheel drive on the tarmac, which is something you can't do in an Isuzu MU-X, and that means that if it's wet or slippery on the road, you don't need to worry as much about that. The other good thing about the Pajero Sport is that it's relatively affordable compared to some of the newer cars like the Ford Everest and the MUX. So a very solid four-wheel drive.
And being a sport, does that just mean it's a little bit smaller and compact?
Yeah, so essentially Mitsubishi doesn't do the old Pajero anymore, but for a while it did. And the Pajero was the bigger, more powerful off-roader, and the Pajero Sport is, the slightly smaller, slightly more economic take on the formula.
So who in the office got to drive the new Maserati?
That would be Tony Crawford, who is one of Car Expert's founders and also happens to be a massive fan of all things Italian, cultural and cars. And he's come back absolutely raving about it. I'm very jealous of him, actually, because the car looks fantastic. So
he got a gelati and jumped in the Maserati and then took it for a drive through the hills, did he?
Yeah, and look, I'd love to tell you that that's not all it is, and he works hard and does all sorts of other stuff. But last week that was his week. And it
was a tough week in the office. Scott, thanks very much for joining us. That is Scott Colley from Car Expert. We are going to take a short break. On the other side, we want to talk about Valentine's Day.
I've heard people say that too much of anything is not good for you, baby. But
I've got some lovely prizes to give away. What is your most memorable and most romantic moment with your loved one? What did they do to blow your socks off? 8223 0000. Maybe you want to ring in and wish your loved one a happy Valentine's Day. Call in 8223 0000.
That's not enough. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. My darling, can't get enough of your love, babe.
This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Good afternoon, I'm Michaela Kamarek. Recovery along the Murray continues to be a priority, with special workshops announced for tourism operators impacted by the flood crisis. Consumer confidence has dropped to its lowest level since April 2020 as higher interest rates start to bite. At least 3 people are dead and several others have been injured in a shooting at Michigan State University in the United States, and runner Peter Boll has had his provisional doping suspension lifted after the results of his B sample were received. Sunny this afternoon, 29, currently it's 25 degrees. More news at 4 o'clock and as it happens on 5AA.
Over 6 years, Graham Corns has sat down with some amazing guests.
He's walked in space. Andy Thomas.
From the world of politics.
Our former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. South Australia's own Christopher Pine. Welcome to the program. The Honourable Julie Gillard.
We're going to have to add an hour to this show, Cornsey.
Entertainment.
Andrew Farris, how are you? Larry Emder.
Oh, yeah.
Becky Cole is my guest, folks. You know this is going to be a lot of fun.
And sport.
Dawn Fraser, you legend. Thank you for joining me. We have a legend in the studio, Sean Burgoyne, the one and only Rick Davies.
I've been listening to your conversations for weeks.
We've heard the stories that made you laugh.
Can we do this without swearing, do you think, or not?
Oh, try
and made you cry.
You're making me cry. Stop it.
I'm making myself cry. I'm usually quite brave about this.
This week on 5AA, Cornsey welcomes his 500th guest to the conversation.
Today is a special event.
500 fascinating guests and counting. Conversations with Cornsey. Weekdays from 12:30 on Adelaide's 5AA.
Hi, it's Wayne from Wayne Phillips Isuzu Ute. We have big news. Our Isuzu Ute dealership has moved to a bigger, better location at 92 Main South Road, Ranella. Not only do you still get good old-fashioned family service, but you can take an award-winning D-Max Ute or MUX SUV for an extended test drive to McLaren Vale and enjoy coffee and cake on us. Make sure it's right for you. Then if you're serious, so are we. So if you're in the market for a Ute or SUV, drop into our new showroom at Wayne Phillips Isuzu Ute, 92 Main South Road, Ranella.
Hi, I'm Sam Martin from Goldsboro Financial Services. In times of uncertainty, it's important to know who to trust. Getting the right advice before making any major changes and having a clear understanding of your investments is paramount. At Goldsboro, we've been guiding South Australians for nearly 30 years and will make your first meeting as easy and as transparent as possible. Whether it's over the phone, via video or in person, we'll make the time to get to know you. Check out goldsboro.com.au for more details. Goldsboro Financial Services, AFSL number 225330.
4 60s megastars are set to grace Adelaide stages once again. Okay, so they may be a little younger and might not have even been born in the 60s, but when you hear these 4 phenomenally talented vocalists harmonise, it is uncanny. The 64 have made a mark on our hearts across the state and even around the country. They've been dubbed Australia's best tribute act. What began in an Adelaide classroom has cemented itself as a class act. The 64 channel the stars of the 60s and 70s like it was yesterday. Think the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Elvis Presley, from their intricate harmonies right down to their charms. The 64 kick off their South Australian tour from February 18 to March 18 with plenty of Adelaide and regional shows lined up. Visit the604.com.au, the64.com.au to book to find the 64 in the Fringe Guide. Come on in.
We open our doors to people we trust and care about. And for over 85 years, South Australians have been opening their doors to Rest Haven. In turn, we've been opening doors to an easier, better life at home. From personal care to help with the shopping and social outings, you'll welcome the care that Rest Haven brings.
Go Vita, your local health food shops. Over 30 years health and wellness experience and over 300 natural health practitioners specialising in you.
Hi, it's Natasha from Fairview Green, and this month at Go Vita we have a great offer on Nutrivital Pain and Inflammation Complete 60 capsules for relief of mild aches and pains. Buy 2 for the price of 1. Always read the label, follow directions for use.
Go Vita, Colonnades, Fairview Green, Marion, Mount Barker, Manopara, Semaphore and Tanunda.
Have you heard about the Sunrise Swim banana or the Morning Stroll banana? The Kicking Goals banana, the Rowing banana, the Mowing banana, the Frisbee Throwing banana? Well, now you have. You see, whatever you think, there's a banana to make your body sing.
Jade Robran on 1395. Adelaide's 5AA.
It's Valentine's Day here, February 14. We want to hear all your love stories, South Australia. We want to feel the love in the air. Call in if you want to wish someone a happy Valentine's Day, or if you've got a beautiful story that you'd like to tell us about you and your partner. 8223 0000. All those scratches on your arms, Timmy G, are they from all the beautiful red roses that you've bought for your wife?
Yeah, the ones I was stealing, yes.
Oh, good. So when I go out, the one on my desk won't be there anymore.
Correct,
Nice.
I'm collecting them everywhere, yes. But
Nicely done.
nah, very nice. I feel like, that music, Renee Gayer, I think, yes.
It is indeed.
And just thought, I feel like I should have some maracas or something.
I do too, and a pina colada.
I've lost my maracas again.
What's happening in sport today?
Yeah, massive story there with Peter Bowl. His B sample being negative, which is great news for him. Obviously.
The runner, yeah?
Yes, correct. And he was the first test had just the slightest little reading of EPO, and of course that's very serious. And he made a really strong public statement that, please stick with me. I don't know what's gone wrong here, but I'm telling you, I've never taken anything and I never will. And it's worked out fantastic for him, which is great.
So what could have happened there?
I've no idea.
Okay.
I'm not in that
No, you're not a
medical field
scientist.
at
No.
all.
No.
So I've got no idea how, but I'm glad it worked out.
Could you
for him.
imagine that test coming back? Your heart would be beating
Well, those
100 miles an hour.
All those weeks he's been waiting, he'd be feeling sick.
You
Absolutely.
would.
Your career's on the line.
Absolutely.
And your reputation.
forever.
That's the biggest thing. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's massive as well. Of course, there's 4 umpires coming to town. Did you know that?
No.
The
For what sport? Oh, AFL.
AFL. Yeah, exactly, yeah. What other sport would have 4 umpires? Tell me that.
Why? Why?
Well, we're going to try and find out why, what advantages or disadvantages it may hold. They've actually done a trial because the Northern Territory Football League, they play a summer competition. So they ran a experiment for 4 weeks and used the 4. So we're going to find out from an NT person at NTFL, just find out how that went, how that trial went, what the thoughts were, the learnings, and then we're going to speak to a current umpire that works with the developing umpires, because one of the concerns is that there's not a big enough pool of experience. You know, some of the guys that are umpiring currently are 43, 47, 45 years of age.
Fit.
Incredibly fit, but you're going, gee, haven't we got any rookie
haven't
policy
we got
coming?
Some people coming through. But, we've done a couple of stories throughout the year, last year, and they were saying that it gets really quite political. I mean, there's a couple that have wanted to come through, more so females that have wanted to come through, but there's internal bullying, there's all sorts of things going on. Exactly. Betting on Brownlows, allegedly.
Well, yes, correct. But it's just, we do need to obviously get more depth into the system as well if we're going to go this way. So
yeah, absolutely.
And as you know, when they want to go, they want to go. Well, last night we had Jordan Dawson, the new skipper of the Adelaide Crows.
Yeah. Did you like your chat? Were you impressed? Did you walk away going, the right choice?
Oh, look, I think he's going to be a real talent. Yeah, I think he's going to be a real talent, and I think it's one of those roles that it just seemed like it was destined for him.
Sure.
So, and he's got it within a year of being there. So
I know.
He'll pick up the straps and go one step further as captain. So tonight we'll have the opposition, Tom Jonas.
Excellent.
He'll do his 5th year.
Well, they announced today, didn't they, Port, or yesterday, maybe today, that no changes for their...
No, correct.
That's a good sign.
I think stability is great, and I think that I just like the fact that, you can roll into a season with a bit of same. It means you're on the right track, you're going well, and things are all hunky-dory. So they got to make it happen now.
Hunky-dory, tickety-boo.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And hooroo.
Happy Valentine's Day to you.
And to you.
Well, Sports Show coming up in about 20 minutes' time. Trevor in Grange has given us a buzz. Happy Valentine's Day, Trev.
And to you, today was pretty much one of those moments where I'm the romantic out of my marriage.
Nice.
And February's a pretty full-on month with Valentine's Day today, my birthday next Sunday, and then our wedding anniversary on the 25th. So I thought I'd just tone it down a little bit this Valentine's Day. So I got the guys at Lily West help me out again, and I got some nicer Koya stuff and all that type of thing. And so in return, the memorable moment is I got chocolate.
Oh, that's nice. Well, that's sweet, I guess. It's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
Hey, mate, I got a text message. That's what I got. I got a Happy Valentine's text message. So count yourself lucky, Trevor.
I will. I'll say that when I get home.
Hey, would you like to go along to Hypnotic at Gluttony?
Oh, that'd be grand. Yeah, thank you.
Well, stay on the line because we would love to send you along. That can be an extra Valentine's Day present, so you can come across as being extra, extra loving. You are off to Hypnotic at Gluttony in Rymel Park, the home of the biggest shows this fringe. You can buy tickets from gluttony.net.au. Now, West Torrens locals, they're up in arms a little bit again. They feel like they've been left in the dark. There was another Crows headquarters meeting, as we know. Crows headquarters, it's being touted as heading to that West Torrens council area there at Theberton. Joining us is Kelly Hughes from 9 News Adelaide, who has been covering the story today. Kelly, good afternoon.
Hello, how you going?
I'm good. So what's the latest? What's been going on? There was a meeting yesterday, is that right?
Yeah, so essentially what's been happening is there was a master plan advisory group meeting, which just essentially means that members of the public, so the West Torrens and Theberton community, as well as the Crows, attended a meeting last night just to talk some more details about what's really going on with this Adelaide Crows headquarters. So some of the attendees that we were talking to said they were showing a slideshow last night, and essentially there was a single image of an updated plan for the $85 million development, and they were a little bit confused because they were told that the image they were shown, they weren't allowed to take a photograph of it, and that image was confidential. So they left the meeting thinking they were going to get some clarity, but they were a little bit more confused when they left and when they got in there.
And have they told you what the photo was of?
Well, one of the attendees who I chatted to today said the image is pretty much virtually a very similar image to an artist impression of the headquarters that's already been released by the Crows. So that's already previously been released last year. But really what the attendees told me that they're asking for is just some transparency and some clarity. They would like those images as well as, the slideshow to be released from the meeting last night to the general public, just so everyone has a clearer idea of exactly what this $85 million Adelaide Crows headquarters is going to look like.
Because I think the locals are a little bit miffed about that whole Kings Park Reserve, isn't it? That there's going to be 2 ovals that are going to be taken up, and their concerns are how often are they going to, as a resident's going to have access to that, if at all. So I guess that would have been the big question mark, whether or not that oval was still, that imagery was still on Kings Park Reserve, which I can understand they want to see the pictures, but it doesn't sound like it's moving in the right direction, really, does it?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the attendees left last night, the ones who I've been talking to, just saying they felt like they were left in the dark a little bit, that they were shown this slideshow and that, one of these images cropped up as an updated version of the plan, but they weren't allowed to, take a photo of it and then, go and show their friends or neighbours what the oval, that's part of their community would be looking like in the future. And I think they just want some more clarity around what they'll be able to use the oval for and the fact that, it could be used for leisure and is this plan going to be interrupting that? So I think there has been, a bit of lack of clarity, the attendees were saying, from the Crows and the council, and they're just really hoping to find out some more details and also make those details transparent.
And Kelly, have you got any idea of when they're meeting again or what the next steps are?
Yeah, I think there will be another meeting potentially next week. However, I have spoken to the Crows about this image that the attendees were saying was told was confidential. They said that they'll be updating their website very shortly, which will include more details about what was revealed in the meeting last night, as well as those updated artist impressions. And, from their point of view, they're not trying to hide anything from the public. They're saying they're being really open to communication, and they said they're being really transparent with what they're trying to talk about and discuss, and they hope that it's something that they can work really closely with the community together to bring this oval for both the Crows and the community to use.
Kelly, really appreciate the update. Thank you.
No worries, thanks.
Kelly Hughes there, and you can watch the full report on 9 News Adelaide at 6 o'clock tonight. We're going to take a short break. On the other side, housing boom has come to a grinding halt. We'll be talking to Will Frogley, the CEO of Master Builders Association.
G'day, Tom Wren here. Greyhounds love to run, and greyhound fans love Thursday nights at Angle Park. For top greyhound racing, a great family atmosphere and the amazing food, Chase's Restaurant is offering a full a la carte menu to ensure you have a fantastic night out. Chips, wedges, through to classics like burgers, fish and chips, schnitties and steaks. Yum! Grab the whole family and get to the park to watch those dogs go. Every Thursday night at Angle Park Greyhounds.
When you're selling your home, every wall is an opportunity to make buyers fall in love. Enrich your walls with stunning Indigenous artwork from Art by FIVEAA. Help your home sell for optimum price. All artwork is ethically sourced, directly supporting Indigenous artists and communities. See what catches your eye inside one of Adelaide's largest range of Indigenous paintings and prints. Art by FIVEAA, a family company specialising in Indigenous art. 1070 South Road, Edwardstown.
Interest rates are on everyone's mind now. I bet a $2,000 per year saving sounds pretty good. That's the pledge from Mortgage Saviour. It's their mission to get you mortgage free as soon as possible. Mortgage Saviour is not affiliated with banks and other big corporations. Their advice is genuine and authentic. No hidden surprises, just the best lending options for your circumstances. And with more interest rate rises on the horizon, it's important to talk to Mortgage Saviour, and you can. Vincent Scully from Mortgage Saviour will be on with me tomorrow. We'll take your calls off the air so you can get some great advice. Be listening to our FIVEAA Interactive Lounge tomorrow afternoon.
Hey, you in the car. If your next service is due, just remember that Mawson Lakes Mazda has your back. We'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. Your car gets the love too, with our state-of-the-art service centre brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
The Red Hot Summer Tour 2023 stars Paul Kelly. I've done all the dumb things. Bernard Fanning. I just want to wish you and Missy Higgins. It's an unprecedented lineup of Aussie music icons, including Mark Seymour, Vicar and Linda, Ian Moss and Troy Cassadaly. At the magnificent Kent Reserve, Victor Harbour, Saturday, March 11. Get your tickets now from redhotsummertour.com.au.
At Bunnings Trade, you'll find amazing value on big brands like Makita, DeWalt and Pazload. And if you find a lower price, we'll beat it by 10%. Bunnings Trade. Helping business is our trade. Price guarantee applies to same stocked items. Available for same-day delivery or collection. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Jade Robran, talking Adelaide on 1395 5AA.
Welcome back to Afternoons with Jade Robran. We're on the live stream, all thanks to Foodland Supermarkets. It is 3:50, 10 minutes away from the sports show with Timmy G and Rowie. But joining us now is Will Frogley, the CEO of Master Builders here in South Australia. Will, lovely to have you on the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jade. Always good to be with you.
Well, some I don't know whether we'd call it alarming news or whether this is just a correction, but the headlines are saying the housing boom, it has come to a grinding halt. Is that fair to say?
Oh, look, there's going to be a decline in activity in the housing sector, but we've got to remember that it's coming off a record high. So if you look at the decline we're having from the boom, it's still a lot higher than we were, say, 3 or 4 years ago. So realistically, it's nothing to be too worried about, I don't think.
Well, that's good news for your industry, but is that good news for home builders that say, oh, you know, it's still really hard to find a builder out there, things are really expensive? What's going on?
Well, I think the market has been a bit out of control, to be honest, for the last probably 18 months to 2 years. And I think it might actually be a good thing if the market just settles down a little bit. So I think the things like the material shortages, for things like timber and steel, it's improved a lot, but there's still some patchy supply issues with things like glass and concrete and chip rock and stuff like that. So, and the trade shortage is still very real. So, one thing that's really positive is there's been a massive increase in the number of people starting an apprenticeship in the last probably 2 years. So that means that there's kids going through the system, and hopefully we've got a lot more tradies out there in the years to come.
So realistically, for things to get back to normal, well, A, will they ever get back to normal? And B, if there is a normal, what does that look like, and when do we expect that to happen?
Oh, well, look, to give you an idea, if we're talking residential construction, 2021, 2022, there are about 14,300 homes in total new dwelling starts in South Australia, and that's dipping down to about 13,200, I think, for this financial year, and then it's kind of sitting around that mark or a little bit lower for the next 4 years after that. So, but there's not a really massive dip, and remember, it is coming off an all-time high. If you're talking non-residential construction, that's actually looking really positive. So we're really forecasting some very strong growth over the next 2 years. And that sector of the market does about $3.5 billion worth of work a year. So that's obviously really good for generating jobs and wider economic activity in South Australia.
Are people still wanting to do their renovations?
It definitely has calmed down from the peak. During COVID, you had a lot of people stuck at home. They couldn't travel, and they really prioritised making sure they had a really nice place to live. So a lot of people who really wanted to do a renovation, have done it or are currently doing it. So you'd expect that to decline a bit. But overall, if you look at years ahead, I think the market for renovations in South Australia is going to remain pretty strong because our housing stock in South Australia is actually quite old compared with most of the other states. So that kind of, stuff's just right for a reno. So overall, I think that side of the market should look pretty good. And in terms of new builds, we're expecting migration to ramp up, which will be good. And I've talked to you a lot, Jade, about, the shortage of trades and the shortage of materials and how that's affected affordability. But the number one factor that affects housing affordability is land supply. So the industry is really buzzing, to be honest, about this massive announcement the state government made over the weekend that it was the single largest release of residential land in South Australian history, enough to build, I think, 23,000 plus homes. So that's really exciting, because if land's really expensive, it makes it very hard for people to get into the market. So if you're dreaming of owning your own home one day, the more land out there, the better.
Yeah, that was a huge announcement. What's your advice to somebody that's, sitting down looking at plans and thinking, I wouldn't mind building a new home?
It's definitely a really good thing to do your research. So particularly make sure you go with someone really reputable. If you know someone who's built and had a good experience, someone you trust and value, that's obviously a huge plus. Definitely take your time to get the right builder or tradie if it's another job, because I think the temptation for a lot of people at the moment is, I need someone really badly. They're not my first choice, but okay, I'll just use them anyway. It's far better you wait and get someone reputable, because of this massive shortage of tradies that we've had over the last year or two. There's been a lot of opportunistic people who have come in and working unlicensed or beyond the scope of their license, and a lot of people have rushed into using them because they haven't done their research or they feel like they're desperate, and then they've ended up with some really bad problems down the track in terms of quality and stuff like that. So it's always better to wait and get the right builder or tradie than to just rush in and get anyone.
Great advice, Will. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Thanks a lot, Jade. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Will Frogley there, CEO of the Master Builders here in South Australia. Well, that is a wrap for today's show. We are going to end things with a bit of a happy birthday to this gentleman, Robert Peter Williams. Do you have any idea who that might be? Yes, Robbie Williams, English singer-songwriter. He found fame as a member of the pop group Take That way back in 1990. But really, I reckon his success comes from his solo career. Happy birthday, Robbie Williams.